And as we learn more about the coronavirus, we also learn more about those variants that have evolved since the start of the pandemic.
Yeah, it also means a lot more questions about the variants. One is, are the COVID-19 variants more contagious than the original? Here's Carolyn Brooke.
One we're seeing a lot. Are the COVID variants more contagious? Let's verify. Our sources are Harvard Medical School and the Cleveland Clinic, both institutions examining the virus in its initial form and the variants that have developed since. Recent Harvard research focusing on these three variants in particular. One first detected in the United Kingdom, another originating in South Africa, and a third first found in Brazil. These variants have been found in states across the U.S., with all three variants discovered in North Carolina and at least two of the three detected in South Carolina. According to Harvard Medical School, all three variants share a key mutation that makes the new variants more contagious than previous variants. So yes, we can verify these COVID variants are more contagious. In fact, research from the Cleveland Clinic looking at variants from the first 6 weeks of the pandemic found those were also more contagious. Dr. Frank Esper is an infectious disease specialist with Cleveland Clinic Children's. He was in charge of that research. He says they still have a lot to learn about the current variants circulating, including how they interact with the vaccine. However, by knowing what they do now, they're better able to predict patient outcomes and adjust recommendations made to all of us to help slow the spread of the virus.
The pieces are there. The puzzle is starting to be solved. And this is one of those things that helps us understand kind of how we got where we are right now and why things look the way they do, and honestly predicts what they may look as we continue to go forward.